Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, there is hopium in the world. Boys and girls, come here for your white pill. Come to the common nerd because yes, we rant, we scream, we holler about things, we cry, we complain, we get angry about stuff. But at the end of the day, one of my favorite things to do is show you that yes, boys and girls, the pendulum is swinging back and we are winning. The playing field has been leveled and our voices are finally being heard. The kind of pushback that needs to be pushed back against this crazy, insane spirit of the age that has infected every single aspect of our culture, right down to the very bones of absolutely every aspect of it. And it's one of them situations where we are finally getting to push back. We are finally making our voices heard and things are changing. And one of the ways that we know that is because of what should probably be the climate change movie of the year, absolutely pushing the agenda that was formerly known as global warming, which was formerly known as global cooling. The Twisters movie director out there refuses to push any kind of message in his movies. Yes, the Twisters remake, continuation, we're not entirely sure. It's basically just another tornado chasing movie using a very similar name, set in a similar universe out there, boys and girls. It's something we didn't think we needed, but exactly the director that we needed, because Lee Isaac Chung is going out there and saying what so many audience members have been crying out for so very long. Don't put your agenda messaging BS in our entertainment and in our escapism. It's not rocket science, but it's something that at least a few people in Hollywood might have finally figured out. And boys and girls, that is a beautiful thing that needs to be talked about today, because the winds are a-changin'. Raise your flag, boys and girls. Lift up the sails and catch that wind, because we are riding hard and the pendulum is swinging back. Because Twister's director on not mentioning climate change, movies shouldn't preach a message. Amen to that, brother. That's all any of us have wanted for so very long. You don't need to have our superheroes, our heroes, and all of the rest of our escapism be packed full of nonsense and BS. Just tell us a good story that's secure and good and loyal to the lore and actually represents the characters we want and just gives us a little bit of escapism from all of the BS that we as adults have to deal with on a regular basis. That's all we want, is a little of escapism. So boys and girls, we're going to check out this article from The Hollywood Reporter, allow them to slightly, for just a second, push their agenda and, of course, take their final pot shot at this director as well at the end of their article. But before we do hear from him and all of his wonderful, very beautiful, common sense takes in an era that completely lacks that, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe and or follow if you have not already, because we have just crossed 800 followers on Rumble and 800 subscribers on YouTube, and I could not have done that without every single one of you. So if you'd like to see us reach 900, please hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, and leave us a comment down below letting you know what you think about this and if this is the breath of fresh air that I believe it is to you as well. So, director Lee Isaac Chung on why his meteorological disaster movie doesn't reference global warming. The storm-chasing sequel Twisters is racking up positive reviews, currently at an 84% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and continues a much-needed summer of Glenn Powell. Guy's a great actor, and hey, I'm not gay, but he's a good-looking dude, all right? And, of course, pair him up with Sydney Sweeney like they did in that one movie, you're guaranteed to have some fun eyes on that kind of stuff. And continue a much-needed summer of Glenn Powell. The film chronicles an unprecedented outbreak of violent storms that tear through the American heartland, and has characters spouting plenty of meteorological jargon. But the one thing Twisters doesn't have, a reference to climate change. Oh, the horror! The travesty! There's a movie being produced by a Hollywood studio that's not pushing the agenda! Oh my gosh. Because, of course, The Hollywood Reporter says this is rather surprising. The possible, mind you, the possible impact of climate change on tornadoes is complicated. Just like all of your nonsense pseudoscience, essentially voodoo, is. And still being figured out. But scientists seem to agree tornado patterns are changing, with more tornadoes happening on the same days and more tornadoes happening outside of the tornado alley, even if the number of tornadoes overall is unchanged. Weird. The climate changes. The weather patterns change and things shift and move. Remember when everybody was freaking out about El Nino back in the... Are you any old enough to remember El Nino and everybody was freaking about how that was going to be the end of the world? Yeah. Some things never change. It's weird. It's like history doesn't just repeat itself. It also rhymes. But who knows? Anyway, that's all of their nonsense. That's so pushing all of their propaganda. So if you're making a 2024 movie about a tornado outbreak, like the likes of which I've never seen before, there's a rather convenient raison d'etre sitting right there. Oh, of course. Just use the propaganda. Just use the talking points. They're already there. Don't be original. Don't come up with your own reason. No. Push the agenda. Simply have Daisy Edgar Jones frantically look at a Doppler radar and mutter an actually study statistic like. The Bulletin of American Meteorological Society projected a 6.6% nationwide increase in the frequency of supercell thunderstorms by the end of the century because of global warming. But nothing like this. And suddenly your summer tornado popcorn movie has a bit of a, but seriously though, this could really happen semi-scientific heft. But to hear the director Lee Isaac Chung tell it, even such a throwaway reference would be like beating red state moviegoers over the head with a DVD copy of An Inconvenient Truth. Oh, you mean the hockey stick thing that ended up getting proven completely false and just like all of the rest of your propaganda does as well? You know, maybe it's not so much that he's trying to avoid divisive topics so much as he just doesn't believe your BS propaganda. There's a thought that never crossed your mind, now did it? Weird. Because, of course, everybody thinks and acts and believes just like all of you over there at The Hollywood Reporter, don't they? I just wanted to make sure that with the movie, we don't ever feel like it's just putting forward any message, Chung told CNN. I just don't feel like the films are meant to be message-orientated. Oh my God, what a strange concept in the modern era. Movies and films and television shows shouldn't be message oriented. The horror! There's a scene where a local farmer, played by Mara Tinsey, says that storms and floods are becoming more frequent, but she doesn't mention climate change. The offense! I think what we're doing is showing the reality of what's happening on the ground. We don't shy away from saying that things are changing. I wanted to make sure that we are never creating a feeling that we're preaching a message, because that's certainly not what I think cinema should be about. I think it should be a reflection of the world. Yes, the real world. What's actually happening. Reality of things, not the propaganda and the narrative that you try to push, not the BS excuses or the mythology you try to come up with to explain basic, simple things. The weather changes. But oh my gosh, did I just offend all of their sensibilities out there as well? But of course, The Hollywood Reporter has to take one last dig at the whole concept of trying to not put a message, trying to not put propaganda in your movie. Or at least a reflection of a studio caution during polarized times when looking for a summer movie hit. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And while they think this might be a dig, boys and girls, this is once again another example of why you should take some hopium away from when you watch this video. And I know this isn't going to do great in the algorithm. This isn't a movie that's some super big hit. This isn't some popular new thing going on with Jack Black or The Acolyte that's going to do well in the algorithm. But for those of you out there that do see this, and for those of you that actually make it to the end of the video, thank you for one. But two, the fact that The Hollywood Reporter even had to admit this, at least a reflection of a studio caution during polarized times when looking for a summer movie hit. they have to finally admit that you out there, the remnant left with common sense, that understands and can see through their BS and see through their nonsense and is not just going on and getting along to get along. You out there who are making your voices heard. You out there who are reviewing things. You out there who are making videos. You out there who are hollering on social media and pushing back against the cult and against the narrative. You are winning. Take hope in that. Do not be black-pilled. Do not think the future is all doom and gloom. Because even the Hollywood Reporter has to admit that you are having an effect, that you are making a difference. And that means, boys and girls, we are winning. The pendulum is swinging back, and Lee Isaac Chung, whether he just wholeheartedly believes that this is not what movies and films are meant for, to push an agenda, to push a message, to push a propaganda, or if he's just a smart enough businessman to know that this stuff doesn't sit well with half to over half of the country, and that maybe I should just avoid it and it's not worth the headache, and I'd rather have everybody go see my movie instead of pushing an agenda. Either way, Director Lee Isaac Chung, you are smarter than 99.9% of Hollywood. And for that, sir, I wish you the absolute greatest success for your movie, not only at the box office, not only at the home video section on your streaming service platform and on your POV, but for your future career. May your house grow and prosper, sir. Because whether you're a based conservative or just a common sense, middle of the road person still alive in Hollywood, or you're just a smart businessman who doesn't want to see your stuff go up in flames because of an agenda. Either way, sir, you are a step above everyone else out there in Hollywood, and especially the Hollywood Reporter, who is essentially trying to downplay you and degrade you for your common sense approach to just go, I'm not going to push an agenda. My movie isn't going to be used for political purposes. And for that, sir, you have my hats off to you and an absolute round of applause, because Director Lee Isaac Chung absolutely is hung, because homeboy's got way more balls than the majority of Hollywood out there. Good on you, director. And everybody, go out there and see Twisters if you got a little extra cash and a little extra time, because somebody like this deserves to be supported.